No problem with that at all.
Now, Roger shared with you that his former associates that worshiped demons, that were part of that elite spirit worship group in Montreal, were very unhappy with him, as were the demonic powers, for studying, especially with Seventh-day Adventists.
That's right.
Did he ever share with you or tell you that there might be some danger involved for you?
He did tell us something that rather startled me. He said he got a call from somebody in that organization, and they threatened our lives, and they knew us by name. And of course, nobody followed him. And I had to assume that the powers of darkness were able to communicate to those people that worshipped what our names were. They knew our names. And the things, some of the events that followed were such that I attribute them to demon powers.
Cynthia, there was an event that was a little startling to you and to Cyril, and I know Roger was interested in it as well. You had a fire at your house shortly after the Bible studies were going on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Shortly after the Bible studies, we were living with my father at the time. So we had a very large front room, pretty large front room. And we were sitting in the room, and my brother came up, who had little problems of his own. And they were using some cleaning fluid to get something off of a piece of clothing. And my brother suggested that it wouldn't burn, and that he wanted to try it out to see if it would or wouldn't burn. And since it was a very large room, I guess he felt that the fumes wouldn't be as concentrated as probably in the smaller room. So he just decided to light a match. And I guess the fumes didn't sink to the ground, but they had risen up to where we were sitting, and the fumes burst in the room at our waist, about our waist as we sat down.
They burst into flames?
Into flames. It burst into flames. The floor was never burned at all. It was just as 3 feet off the ground, I guess. And everybody disappeared. And Cyril, he went downstairs to get a blanket, and my brother, he disappeared. I was further into the room, near the window, which was on the front side of the house. And I said, well, it isn't going to stop, so I better do something. So I jumped up on the chair, which turned out to be a stuffed chair, so I wasn't helping myself by any means. Then I looked at the window, which was about 3 feet from me, and I said, well, if I was already on the 3rd floor, and I said, well, I'll jump from the from the window onto the balcony, which was on the 2nd floor. It was a very small balcony. So I looked at the window, and the curtains had started going up in flames. And I said, you know, I just might miss that balcony and hit the cement. So I said, no, that's not going to work. So I stayed there, and then I just became paralyzed. And the only thing that was working was my mind. And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, I don't want to die. I just married a year, and my whole life is in front of me, and if you can see any way I can get out of here, please do something. And I waited, and I didn't get any answer. And pretty soon, as if somebody had hit me to knock me off the chair, the force of it, somebody said, jump now, which meant no questions or any other kind of rationalizations I was giving it. And I bent down to start a sort of a broad jump. And at that side of the room, I was at least 8 feet from the door. And I got down, and between me and the door was a radio, a floor-length radio with a lamp on it. And when I got down, when I crouched down to make the broad jump, I was outside of the room before Cyril came upstairs with the blanket. I don't remember how I got there.
You were just kind of moved.
It just moved.
And then what happened where you had just been?
The can of gasoline apparently was
It
sitting.
wasn't gasoline, it was naphtha.
Naphtha was right by the chair, and it blew right up, a big hole into the ceiling, just as I moved away. And my hair was burnt, all my face was burnt, and, well, not all, right around here. And my eyebrows were gone. And he asked me, he said, how did you get out of the room? Because by this time the room was totally in flames. And I said, I don't know. I said, but I prayed. And I was there. He didn't need the blanket then.
The Lord answers our prayers in spite of what the devil may try to do to us, doesn't he?
After the fire, and we moved away, and we were getting ready to come to the United States, we, of all places, moved in with an Irish family.
In a French neighborhood.
In a French neighborhood. Partying, they loved to party. But we stayed to ourselves pretty much because we felt that we would soon be leaving the country anyway. And they turned out to be really nice people. But while we were there, we had several different things happen. Like, for instance, we would say our prayers and get in bed, and then the doors would start slamming and the windows would go up and the wind would come through the room. And it terrified us. And so we went to bed every day, every night, with our Bible under our pillow. We'd turn on the light and everything would be calm, like, you know, as you expect. And then this would happen it happened for a couple of weeks. And then another thing started. Dishes would act like they were falling out of the closets, and somebody was sweeping with a broom on a hardwood floor, and all kinds of different things. And I was terrified. I wouldn't stay in there, you know, at all.
Did this happen? Excuse me. Did this happen during the Bible studies while you were
No,
giving
this
them?
is afterwards.
Right after this.
We had a lot of things happen to us afterwards.
For a couple of months.
So you were harassed by the demonic spirits.
That's right.
For your role in bringing Roger to a knowledge of biblical truth for several months. Now,
several months.
How did it stop?
The powers of darkness don't really stop. The only way you can keep them in check is on your knees, prayer. I don't think anybody is immune to the problems that come about as a result of the devil's work. The devil is working against us full time. He knows his time is short, and there's no way of saying that, oh, he stopped. Because when you say he stopped, that's the time he's going to start. We still have problems today that we know that the devil is behind them. Many of the mistakes that we make, or that we think we make, we've been set up in most cases. And that's why the Lord wants us to pray without ceasing.
Has there ever been a time whenever you were experiencing a difficulty that you felt was the direct result of the demonic forces being angry with you, that you wished that you had never met Roger?
Never.
No.
Never. I'd do it all over again. If the same situation occurred, I'd be willing to do it all over again. Life is not as important as eternity. And a soul is not, cannot be turned away because of your own fear or your own lack of courage. There will never be a time when I'd be sorry.
After the demon left you that Saturday night, did you have any more demon harassment over the next few months, or was it just over instantly?
No, it was not over instantly. Every night, the spirits knocked on the walls, knocked on the doors. I was awakened 2 or 3 times a night. But they were trying to reopen conversation with me. The Lord would not allow them to bother me in any ways, except that they tried to have communication with me. And that, it seems that the Lord, see, the Creator has given us freedom of choice. You can choose good or choose evil. You see, that's your prerogative. It's a freedom that He has given us, which is beautiful, freedom of choice. Well, of course, the enemy of the Lord says, hey, I want access to it. At least you can allow me to knock on the door.